Cracking down on the border, which I strongly advocate, and by the way, I don't believe President Obama when he says that the border is secure. I've been to the border. The border is not secure. It is almost like the state of nature along the border. There are some disturbing signs in southern Arizona which say American citizens ought not to go into this area. American soil. And there are signs, don't go here. We can't protect you. It's dangerous. And I think that this is a rather severe encroachment upon our sovereignty. As I mentioned in the introduction to the book on immigration that Mr. Kennedy mentioned, at the time that I wrote that book, which I think was in 2006, there have been more than 200 incursions across the American border by the Mexican army. And they were protecting drug smugglers bringing cargoes across the American border. And the Border Patrol people were simply outgunned. The Mexican soldiers had 50 caliber machine guns and other heavy weapons, and the Border Patrol had 9mm pistols and I think beanbag guns. Which is true, by the way. In any confrontation at the border, the first thing that we learned this from the recent unfortunate death of a border patrolman who was killed by one of these fast and furious guns that the ATF sold to Mexican criminals. We learned that in a confrontation, their first response has to be firing of beanbags. Any of you who have ever had military training can imagine. Well, I digress. Let us ask the question here for a moment. Well, in all of this, we don't seem to have any real serious efforts to control illegal immigration. I think that we could do it if we set our minds to it. A border fence would work. Severe sanctions against employers would work. This has been demonstrated. This is not really difficult to understand. You know, I had a debate with I wasn't going to mention this, but I had a debate not too long ago with a libertarian, a rather famous libertarian, and he argued for open borders, as libertarians are wont to do. Well, why? Why do we need borders? In the modern world, borders are irrelevant. They're anachronistic. The old days when we used to think that sovereignty was a necessary or intrinsic aspect of political life, we're well beyond that. Let's open up the borders. Let's everybody who wants to come here to work, let's let them work. These people merely want to improve themselves, and we should give them the opportunity. He said we should do it. That's the way the European Union does it. And of course, you can imagine my response in the debate about the crack about the European Union. Who wants to be like the European Union? There, the European Union wants to dissolve the sovereignty of all of its member states. But I'll give you a little secret here. I think you all know this anyway. There has been no constitutional democracy except in an independent nation state and a particular state with its own borders and its own constitution and its own laws. There has never been an empire which has promoted freedom. There has never been an empire that has promoted constitutional government or the rule of law. And if you think that the European Union will ever be a constitutional democracy and be governed by the rule of law as opposed to administrative tyranny, then I think we might want to rethink that issue again. Now, I think that exclusive citizenship is an important thing. It's the key to our constitutional government. It's the key to our freedoms. When President Bush said on one occasion, you know, family values don't stop at the border. You all remember when he said that? We have family values. They're universal values. We have a border that's arbitrary. The illegal immigrants come here. They just want to improve. They're advocating family values. They want to do things to help families, and we should not stand in the way. Borders are irrelevant. Citizenship, insofar as they depend upon borders and exclusivity, are irrelevant. They stand in the way of the promotion of family values and other kinds of values. I don't believe that that's the case. Just a word here, and then I'll finish. Oh, I have to finish now? Well, just let me give you a last word here. let's say who benefits from illegal immigration? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I think I have something to say about that. Obviously, Mexico and the other Latin American countries who are sending the bulk of their people here. Mexico, this is a great boon to them. They can send their poor to the United States. They're disaffected. People who are likely to cause trouble, send them off to the United States. Mexico actively promotes illegal immigration to the United States, giving aid, passing out maps, and all kinds of things to help people get here. Democrats favor illegal immigration. Why? Very simple. Future voters. We had an amnesty back in 1986. We almost had amnesties on 2 different occasions subsequently, but this would be a great boon for the Democratic Party because Hispanics become Democrats. They don't become Republicans by and large. 67% of the Hispanic vote went for Obama, and this has been steady throughout the years. President Bush always bragged that he had gotten a high number of Hispanic votes, but he didn't. He got about 1/3. And that means that the Hispanic vote has been steadily Democratic, about 2/3, and this has been over generations. So the Democrats looking to the long term because they want future voters. You can imagine if we have, say, 12 to 20 million illegal immigrants in the country now, and about 10 million, 8 to 10 million are probably adults, and given amnesty, eventually become citizens. Here are 6 to 8, or I don't know the exact number, but 6 to 8 million new Democratic voters, and this is a great boon to the Democrats. They're looking to the long-term future. But Republicans also like illegal immigration, like my libertarian friend, because we want cheap labor and we want exploitable labor. And we can use all kinds of labor. I mean, how many times have you heard? Who are going to do these difficult jobs? Who's going to work in the restaurants? Who's going to work in the motels? Who's going to dig the footings for concrete and so on and so forth? Americans won't do those jobs. We need people, and we need cheap labor. And by the way, this labor is cheap because the federal government subsidizes it. We have welfare, we have subsidized housing, we have all kinds of programs that subsidize illegal immigrant labor. That's why it's cheap. And I think that in the long run, the Democrats have the best of the bargain. They get future voters and we get short-term profits. I think that that's a bad bargain. Well, let me just quit then, because Mr. Williams is frantically waving at me. Apparently I've overstayed my welcome. I just want to reiterate, the most troubling thing for me is this citizens without consent. Citizens without consent. If we can't control immigration, a necessary aspect of sovereignty, if we can't control who becomes citizens of the United States, another aspect of sovereignty, then I guarantee you that what comes next is the end of constitutional government. Look, the administrative state wants to have client classes. And the more client classes it has, the greater will be its power, the greater will be its reach and the extent of its control. And this is a godsend for them. But I can guarantee you this, the administrative state will not be a constitutional democracy, no more than the European Union is a constitutional democracy. So I think that we need to be on our guard, and we need to do everything we can to preserve American sovereignty and the exclusive citizenship that is necessary to that sovereignty. So thanks for listening.